Welcome to the French Newfie. I'm Erin MacDonald. It's almost Christmas. It's less than 1 month away. And I really enjoy Christmas. I know most people do. They enjoy sharing recipes and having family over. It's really a festive time of year. And I started experimenting with new recipes because we kind of stick to the traditional turkeys and, the classics that we all cook during Christmas. So I want to do a little spin on it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be for Christmas Day, but maybe you want to do it a couple of days in advance, maybe 10 days in advance. You can have it before Christmas. I want to do for you a turkey meatloaf. And I've tried it. It's delicious. And I think that you'll enjoy it too. It's really festive. So I already have some onions that are chopped up, and I'm going to continue chopping them. First, I'm going to get a little bit of olive oil down into my pan, and you can hear that it's going. So I want to get my onions straight in because it's already hot. And I don't really want to color the onions. I just want them to saute a little bit. I'm going to move on to the rest of the onion here. Get that chopped up. There we go. Just some little chops. And again, I just want a quick saute on it because I don't want my onions to have any color. They're going into the meat and they're going to further cook into the meat. So just a little saute. There we go. And because it's going to be a Christmas turkey meatloaf, I want to add some green color. It's just going to be a little pop. So I've decided on a green pepper, and I like green pepper. It's nice and savory. And as you'll see later, my recipe has a little sweet ending to it. So it's nice to have the savory and the not so sweet pepper of the green, which it is. Again, I'm going to try and do just little tiny chops so that it mimics the onions and they cook up the same way. So just little slivers like this. And I'm going to keep going with these until they're all done. And there we go. That should be enough. Let me just grab a little spatula and give that a little twirl around, just like that. And as well, I want to add a little bit of seasoning to this. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of cracked pepper, and some Worcestershire sauce. And looks like I need a new bottle, but I have enough. So 5 or 6 drops of that just down. It's going to be really nice. And again, we're just looking to soften the green pepper and the onions, which is not going to take much longer at all. Now, I did say that I am going to have a little sweet ending to my turkey meatloaf. So what I want to do is make the topping. And traditional, it would be a tomato sauce on your meatloaf. Sometimes people put ketchup in it. But because it's a festive turkey meatloaf, I want to mix it up a little bit. So my topping is going to be with chutney and cranberry sauce. Of course, cranberry sauce and turkey and the holidays, they just go hand in hand, don't they? So I'm going to get my little pan going, my little saucer. And as I mentioned, chutney. Chutney is a really interesting ingredient. There's all kinds of spices, there's cloves, there's peppers. Some chutneys have mango in them. Really, really nice and full of spices and flavor. So it's really nice for Christmas. And it goes really well with this topping. So just add the chutney. And I'm just using the store-bought cranberry sauce, the classic ocean spray that you can find in any store. So I'm going to put like really good heaping tablespoons of this cranberry sauce. And it is in the jelly form, but it will break down as soon as it starts to warm. It's all going to melt really nice into this sweet sauce. I'm just going to turn down the heat a little bit here. And as I can see, these are exactly where I want them. I don't want any color, like I said, so I'm actually going to turn off the heat at this point. And while I wait for that to cool another minute before I put it into my meat mixture, I'm going to move on to a couple of more ingredients, of course. So I have my bowl for mixing, and I'm going to just put the lemon zest into it. Lemon and orange is what I grated earlier. And I just want some citrus notes. So I have more orange than I do lemon, but it's going to be really nice and just something floral inside of that turkey meatloaf. So a little bit of the orange and a little bit of the lemon zest that I grated earlier. I want to go in with some thyme, and thyme is a really nice herb, and it's delicate. It's not very strong, and it works really well with turkey and any type of poultry, like chicken. So just a couple of these sprigs, pull down on them like this, and they'll come off quite easy, just like that. And I'm going to do one more. Perfect. And I want to give these a little tiny chop, because there are some woody bits. So just a little bit will go a long way. A little chop through. I'm only going to do it one time. Just one time through. Done. And put that there. There we go. Now I'm going to move on to the breadcrumbs. I'm just getting everything ready. It's all going to be mixed up, as you know, and you've probably done this before with meatloaf. And if you haven't, you really should. I'm going to eyeball it to about 1/4 cup, and you can use measurement if you want. Absolutely, use a measuring cup. Some sage. Sage is so beautiful, and I just think of sage and turkey and cranberry and Christmas, and it's really beautiful. So I'm going in with some sage as well. I'm going to leave not too much. There you go. Probably around the same amount that I did with the thyme. And with sage, what you want to do is kind of roll it up like a little cigar, just like this. And then make your little chiffonades of it. It's quite perfumey, but what's going to happen is when it goes into the oven and it goes into the turkey meatloaf, the flavors are all going to mellow out. It's going to be really good. And don't use the stalks. I don't recommend you use the stalks of the sage, just the leaves for this recipe. Okay, egg. I'm going in with the egg. Just one egg for this recipe. There you go. And I'm going to go in with my turkey now. So I have some nice minced turkey, and this is great. You can find it in the grocery stores. Just going to get all of that in there. And there we go. Perfect. And lastly, I'm going in with my sauteed onions and green peppers. And there's no color on them. And let's just get that down. Lovely. Look at the colors. The green and the white. And you'll see when I get this little topping and sauce. It just looks like Christmas. Green and red. And the smell that's going to go throughout your house is going to be unbelievable. Now bring this back, and it's time for me to get a little dirty. Before that, add salt. Don't forget my salt. Generous, because none of that ground turkey is seasoning. And some nice pepper, a good pinch of pepper. I like my pepper in this because we're going to have a nice sweet topping. So you really want to have some nice flavors developed inside of your turkey meatloaf. All right, time to go in. And just mix it all around. The breadcrumbs is helping to make it more compact. And there's a lot of juice and residual water that came off those green peppers and the onions. And you would think that the turkey meatloaf would be dense and dry because turkey has a tendency. But actually, when you buy ground turkey, it has quite a bit of fat into it already. So you don't really have to worry too much about it drying out like you would a regular turkey breast. So just mix it all up and make sure that it's incorporated. Get all of those breadcrumbs. Make sure that your egg is all through it. It's quite wet, but again, you want it to be wet so that it doesn't dry out. And this is almost ready to go into my pan. And just that little bit of orange and lemon I can smell. It's really, really pretty. Let me just move this and bring over my little loaf pan that I've lined with tin foil, of course, and that's gonna help and make it easier for cleanup, make my life easier. Now what I wanna do is just make it into a little football, kind of like I did with my Spanish meatloaf. And like I said, it's quite wet, but don't worry, it's going to shape up. It's gonna turn into that nice familiar, but unfamiliar meatloaf that we all love so much. And so just pat it down, and you can shape it into the pan as you want as well, into the loaf pan. There you go. I am full of ground turkey and other good things, but it's not good to have in the kitchen. So I need to wash up, get this into my oven. It's preheated at 375 degrees, and it's gonna take around an hour to an hour and a half. As long as it reads 160 with an instant thermometer, if you have one in the center, you're good to go. So I'll see you back here in a little bit. So there you have the beautiful meatloaf. I'm just finishing it off with that lovely chutney and cranberry sauce that I told you about. It's really beautiful and juicy. I don't recommend cutting into it right away. There's a lot of heat in there and the juices need to redistribute. So just let it cool down just a little bit and then serve it. Another thing that I like to do lastly is to add some ingredients just on the side, a little bit of decorations. Of course, they're edible if you prefer, on the side, and that just shows everyone what was in it. You know, there was some orange zest, I had some thyme, which is really pretty, and I had some sage as well. So there you have a different version of meatloaf, a turkey Christmas meatloaf, and I hope that you give it a try. Most importantly, I hope that you enjoy it.